Lions, Raiders, Ford Field, Monday Night Football. ESPN, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and the Countdown crew, including the former quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers, and John, your old team, the Washington Commanders. And he does a great job right now on TV, and he's Alex Smith. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Stoney, John. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We are, as you can probably know, this town is just geeked beyond belief. What do you think the scene's going to be there like tonight?
I guess I'm waiting to find out, like everybody else, but I'm anticipating. I hope it's awesome, right? I mean, I think it's been since 2018 since Detroit got to host the Monday night game, so I hope it's rocking. I hope it's as good as the team's playing right now.
Well, I don't think the fans will disappoint. I think it's going to be an unbelievable scene, but the team has played good. They didn't obviously have a good result last week or seem to play good. I'd love to hear your analysis of what you see when you see – let's just start with the offense. When you see Jared Goff take the field, what do you see from this offense?
Well, I mean, I think – from Jared Goff's perspective and this offense, listen, by every metric, this is one of the top units in football over the last 2 years, especially if you go over the last kind of 16, 18 games. And, it starts with him. He's playing at an unbelievable level, really taking care of the football. But I see an offense that's really multiple. It starts up front, obviously a really talented offensive line. I know they're banged up right now. But, it starts with running the ball. Great play action pass, and then a bunch of selfless players on the outside. A bunch of guys making plays. Obviously, I think the bell cow, besides, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but, getting Jameson Williams back and a bunch of other guys making plays outside, obviously Reynolds. And so I love what, kind of culture, obviously, Dan Campbell's brought, Ben Johnson's created there on the opposite side of the ball, but just very, very multiple, tough, can get you in a lot of different ways. And so I know last week was a rough game, but I expect him to get back on track.
What do you see on the other side from Jimmy G coming back after the injury? He's obviously been up and down. What do you think of what he'll do tonight?
Yeah, it's a unit that struggled, to be honest. This Raiders offense, I don't think they've broke 20 a single time this year. Obviously, Jimmy's been hurt and kind of up and down. And so they have not been able to put it together. And, I really see this is going to be a tough environment to come into, I think. And so really expect this Detroit defense to kind of, I think, have their way today. I think set the tone up front. Again, obviously you got to deal with Adams on the outside, but it is a unit I think that they can be, good against, have a great night against.
I was trying to talk to Stoney earlier today. He asked a question about, blitz pickup or blocking schemes. And I was talking about if Graham Glasgow has to go in at center because Frank can't go, all of the calls on the offensive lines that I've been a part of have all come from the center or from the offensive line, with the caveat that a quarterback has the veto power. What would you be looking at if you wanted to veto what the offensive line was talking about in terms of where they're setting the protection, whether it's to the Sam, the Mike, the Will, whatever it is? How would you go about identifying, hey, I don't like what they're calling, and I'm going to adjust it as a quarterback?
It's almost always a partnership anyway, especially with a veteran QB like Jared. Listen, if there's a rookie or something back there or a kid who didn't, you wanted to take that off his plate, a lot of times you would give it to the center and just let him do it. Most often it is a partnership, right? Like I think it's something you work together all week. You understand the pressures that the opposing defense, has, whether they be on first and second down or third down. And, when you're walking up to the line as a quarterback, you're very cognizant of the mic point, right? Like, and where the offensive line's going, especially when I'm talking passing game here and your protection. I mean, it's kind of the first thing you think about as a quarterback. So I think all that said, I feel good about Jared Goff back there. I mean, he's played a ton of football. He'll be able to correct it and get the guys where he wants them. And I think that's the most important thing. It's not so much that you want to be right all the time. You don't have to be right. It's really that everybody's on the same page, because the worst case scenario is Jared Goff dropping back and thinking, hey, I thought the line was going here, and they were really going somewhere else. And that's when bad things happen. As long as he knows where they're going, I think, they're going to be at home. They'll be able to communicate. They shouldn't be loud when they're on offense. So don't expect that to be a problem, especially, again, with having a veteran QB like Jared.
Alex Smith joins us on the Stoney and Jansen program. As you know, one of your former coaches is in the headlines. I'm curious your relationship when you played for Jim Harbaugh and the difference between another one of your head coaches in college was Urban Meyer. You've played for both of them.
Yeah, I played for both. Listen, it'd be hard for me to comment on all the
right,
the details of what's going on. I mean, I loved playing for Jim. I thought, he's a great coach. I love that he keeps it about football. He really does a great job of eliminating distractions, and kind of, for a professional athlete, especially me at the time, just, enabling me to be able to focus on really what was important. It's so different. In the NFL, you're allowed to send an advanced scout. You do that in the NFL. He goes to the opponent's game the week before, and he comes back with a lot of information. And I can remember prior to in the NFL when the defense went to the headset as well. For the first several years of my career, the defense still signaled in the plays. That was part of it. You got these preliminary signals. Now there was never taping involved. Obviously I think there's a line there. At some point, this is a gray area, but at some point, if you were taping the signals, certainly I think that's kind of crossing the line. It's hard for me to go into. College football is such a weird place right now. The NCAA has lost a lot of power. I don't totally know. It's really kind of a shell of its former self. And then you kind of throw in the cheat, him buying, burgers for some players. Hard to comment on. These certainly don't seems like there's probably more important things people could be focused on. But again, I don't know all the details. If they were taping signals and that was a part of this, and this has been going on for years, certainly I think you probably did cross the threshold there. But again, hard for me to comment on.
I know it's been a while, but what was it like playing for Urban?
I loved it. Obviously, both those coaches, changed my career. I obviously had Urban. I was young. I was in college, a young kid, and again, Coach Meyer came in with, at that time, a really, really novel offense. Shotgun spread option. It was something that nobody had really seen in the country, and so we kind of, back then the BCS, it kind of took it by storm. And again, changed my career. I learned so much, obviously, and I still talk today. But yeah, I was just, obviously such a young kid, and even, it was 20 years ago at this point. So, but both those guys, and I've been lucky enough to have a bunch of great coaches that have, affected not only my career but my life. And again, kind of, thankful for all of them,
including obviously Andy Reid. Now, you were there obviously from Mahomes, and he learned a little bit under you. We know Rodgers did under Favre. Where do you, come in on the quarterback should sit for a little bit, or the ones that come in like, Young and Stroud and just start?
Every situation's different, so it's hard to, kind of have some universal cookie cutter plan. I just think if you're going to invest in a top 10 pick at quarterback, especially if you're trading up to get one, I don't see the rush in playing a guy too early. I don't think there's anything wrong if he sits a little too long. What's the downside if he sat and was over prepared? If you had him watch half a season longer and he came out and when he finally played was over prepared, nobody's in hindsight like, man, we should have played him earlier. Again, you want to do everything you can to ensure that investment has the best chance to succeed. And so I really think you got to take a great look at all the pieces around the quarterback. And again, I think it's the toughest position in sports, but you're so reliant not only on the other 10 guys that are in the huddle with you, but, your offensive coordinator, the system that they're running, I think the culture of the entire team. And so often these early picks, they're part of new culture regimes. I mean, look at, Bryce Young and obviously CJ Stroud, right? These are brand new head coaches that are trying to build something, oftentimes new play callers or first-time play callers in the case of Bobby Slowick at Houston. So I think there's a lot of variables there, and you really got to try to take all that in. And then obviously the kid, how much college did he play? What kind of system did he run in college? How prepared is he to step in and hopefully have success? So I think you're trying to weigh all that out. And I think we've seen examples of both. But again, for me, I think you want to do everything you can to make sure that they have the best chance to go out there and play well. Like if they sit a little too long, I don't see the downside. It's far worse to play them too early and get a kid beat up, really affect their confidence, and again, even develop bad habits. So certainly my take on it. I lived it. I played as a young, 21-year-old kid. Probably a little too early than I should have. I've mentored guys, so kind of seen it a lot of different ways. Obviously, none better than what Patrick's doing right now. In that year, that model, Andy had a plan, and he was going to stick to it. And obviously, it's paid off unbelievably at this point.
We played a long time, and 6 days a week. There's some things that I don't miss. There are other things that I do. But you're going to be in an environment tonight that's extremely charged. It's exciting. Do you ever miss it as a player? Do you ever sit there and say, you know what, I just wish I had this one or two more times?
John thinks he can still play at age 46.
It's honestly, that's such a great question. And as I was driving in last night, I got into Detroit last night, and I'm driving to the hotel. And it hit me like my very first start when I came back off of my injury. I was out of football for a while with my leg injury. Right. And when I got to come back and have my comeback, my first start was here at Detroit. And I just say that I got to have my comeback, right? I got to have my second chance. I thought football was over for me, obviously with everything that happened to my leg and where I was at that point. And, as hard as I worked to come back and play, there was a big part of me that thought it would never happen, that it just wasn't in the cards. And I'm so lucky and fortunate that it did. And I did get to say goodbye to the game and kind of my own way. And again, this place obviously pretty special for me in the sense that it was the first time I took the field as a starting quarterback again. And I'll never forget that day and what that was like. And again, that rest of that year as well, I went on, I started 6 games and we ended up winning the division that year. We won 5 of them. And just again, an amazing ride. And again, I got to kind of make my peace with the NFL. And so I really am able to kind of, I'm looking forward to tonight, and I'll just enjoy the environment. I'm going to be happy for Detroit. This is a great moment for them. The team is playing great, and this organization and city deserves this. So looking forward to being there.
How much fun is the TV deal for you?
I'm still learning and trying to figure this thing out. It's new to me. It's still only a couple of years removed from playing. I'm trying to find my own way and my own voice. But I'm enjoying it. I really enjoy these Monday nights, being on the field, the energy that comes with it. Again, to get to be in an environment like this. And I get to see a lot of old friends. I was fortunate enough to play a long time. I got a lot of friends still playing, a lot of friends coaching around the league, and I get to see them and kind of still be around the game that I love so much. So enjoying it. I am really fortunate.
Both of you guys played for Norv, right? Norv.
Yeah, I played for Norv. Yep.
Yeah, Norv would have been my first coach in '99 with the Redskins.
That's funny. I had Norv my second year, so I was a young kid as well. Norv for 1 year, and he was a great coach. Again, my first year was rough. It was actually with Mike McCarthy as my offensive coordinator, but we were not very good, as you expect, having the number 1 pick, and nor was I. And Norv came in my second year, and I really learned a ton of football from him and started to have some success. We had our moments on offense and actually got to 500 the next year, and it was a big step, not only for us as an organization, but me personally.
Hey, you ever? How's your uncle John L. doing?
John L's doing good. Yep, doing good. Back down in Louisville, and retired from football, which I wasn't sure he was ever going to be able to do. But doing well. Same old John L.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Have fun tonight. And your story's been unbelievable, as you know. You're recovering from the injury and all that. And continue the good work. We like it a lot.
Stoney, John, I appreciate it, fellas.